Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yasoda-nandana Braja Janaranjano Yasoda-nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radhama Dava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yasoda-nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda-nandana Braja Janaranjano Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai Grantara Śrimad Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. So Natabar asked me to give the class. Please forgive me, I have a French accent. I cannot remove it. It's deeply rooted in this body. And I'm a little bit upside down because I arrive at 1 a.m. But by the mercy of the Bhāgavatam, we can try to do something. You were supposed to have a class of Nava-Yogendra Swami, and unfortunately it couldn't happen because Maharaj had to go to Canada. So we're reading from Śrimad Bhāgavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 25, verse number 13. Shri Bhagavan Uvat. Oh, sorry. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Yoga Adhyatmika Pumsham Mato Nishreya Sayame Atyanto Paratiryatra Dukasya Cha Sukasya Cha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Yoga Adhyatmika Pumsam To Nishreya Sayame Atyanto Paratiryata Sukasya Cha Sukasya Cha. Sukasya Cha Sukasya Cho. Shri Bhagavan Uvacho Yoga Adhyatmika Pumsam Nato Nishreyasaya Me Atyanto Paratiryatra Dukasya Cha Sukasya Cha. Napadar is still funny always. Somebody else want to sing? No? Van Uvacha Yogatyatmika Pumsam Mato Niriyasaya Me. Okay, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead answered, the yoga system which relates to the Lord and the individual soul, which is meant for the ultimate benefit of the living entity, and which causes detachment from all happiness and distress in the material world, is the highest yoga system. So he's speaking to devotee. Okay. Purport. In the material world, everyone is trying to get some material happiness. But as soon as we get some material happiness, there is also material distress. In the material world, one cannot have unadulterated happiness. Any kind of happiness one has is contaminated by distress also. For example, if we want to drink milk, then we have to bother to maintain a cow and keep her fit to supply milk. Drinking milk is very nice, but it is also pleasure. But for the sake of drinking milk, one has to accept so much trouble. The yoga system, as here stated by the Lord, is meant to end all material happiness and material distress. The best yoga, as taught in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna, is Bhakti Yoga. It is also mentioned in the Gita that one should try to be tolerant and not be disturbed by material happiness or distress. Of course, one may say that he is not disturbed by material happiness. But he does not know that just after one enjoys so-called material happiness, material distress will follow. This is the law of the material world. Lord Kapila states that the yoga system is the science of the spirit. One practices yoga in order to attain perfection on the spiritual platform. There is no question of material happiness or distress. It is transcendental. Lord Kapila will eventually explain how it is transcendental by the preliminary introduction, but the preliminary introduction is given here. So this is just the preliminary introduction. He is bringing the subject slowly. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyanam Janam Shalakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goradvishe Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah mukam karoti vacharam pangum rangayate girim yat kripam tamaham vande shiguru dinataranam. So Kapila Dev says to devotee that the yoga system is made for the ultimate benefit of the living entity. And that ultimate benefit causes detachment from material happiness and distress in the material world. And this is very basic introduction. Huh? He's starting from the ground. Then he will introduce what is transcendental happiness, because the goal of yoga is to experience the transcendental happiness. first detachment from unhappiness and happiness in the material world. So Prabhupada made a very simple but relevant purport, explaining to us that whatever happiness you can have in the material world, you will have also distress, so it's always mixed together. So it's not real happiness. But Prabhupada brought us real happiness. That was his blessing upon us, that now we can have a real happiness. So I was very happy to see again Radha Govinda. It's a long time I have not seen Radha Govinda. Maybe 4 years now, something like that. And I was remembering this morning how Srila Prabhupada brought Radha Govinda to Henry Street. Which year was this? You know? Which year Prabhupada installed Radha Govinda? The big deities. The big deities. Okay. So they were installed at Jaipur because they were given by the Queen of Jaipur. So that's a special, Jaipur is a special city where the original Radha Govinda are standing. And who are the deities of Rupa Goswami? So they are expansions of Rupa Goswami's deities. So Rupa Goswami must be here also, because the devotees always follows his deities, There must be some special presence of Rupa Goswami here. And that's the mercy of Prabhupada. Prabhupada came to this city of New York, externally looking very horrible city. It's very horrible, New York. I don't say this because I love New York, I love New York. But externally speaking, it's very horrible city. But Prabhupada came, and Prabhupada is an eternal associate of Radha and Govinda. So wherever he steps, that place turns into pilgrimage place. Because Prabhupada has some lotus feet. We say, what means lotus feet? Lotus feet means Prabhupada is established in his transcendental form. Within his body, Prabhupada has a transcendental spiritual body. We call Swarup. So Prabhupada, like we see him here in his deity form, or like he came in 1965 in the form of an Indian sadhu. That's one form of Prabhupada. But as he himself explained to us, we are not this body. The same way we are not this body, Prabhupada also is not that body. Prabhupada is an eternal associate of Radha and Krishna. And in the spiritual world, Krishna has some lotus feet. Radharani also has lotus feet. And all their associates, they also have lotus feet. Because the transcendental form is beautiful like a lotus. So Krishna is compared to the lotus because of 3 things. His body is compared to the lotus because of its color. The color of Krishna's body is like the blue lotus. Have you ever seen blue lotus? It's not very common in this Kali Yuga. Nowadays we don't see much blue lotus, but it exists. It's like a dark blue. And sometimes it can be lighter. And Krishna is compared to a lotus because of the delicateness of his skin, if we can say skin. Like when you touch a lotus, it's very soft. You fear you will damage it. And indeed, if you manipulate the lotus too much, it will become damaged. So Krishna also, his body is very, very delicate. And it looks as delicate as a lotus petal. And also, the body of Krishna has the fragrance like the lotus. That's why when you see Krishna, he looks like a lotus. Actually, every part of Krishna's body resembles to, or we could say, manifest the beauty of a lotus. I mean, Krishna is original, so the lotus comes after Krishna. Actually, it's the lotus who looks like Krishna. It's not Krishna who looks like the lotus. And the lotus is very pale compared to Krishna. But Prabhupada used to say the lotus is the most beautiful thing we have in this material world. I read this once in the Bhāgavatam. So at that time I didn't understand really why Prabhupada would say this, but now I understand. Because it's true, the lotus has some special beauty. Mostly because it relates to Krishna. And then the more we understand Krishna and the more we understand Krishna's beauty, then the more we can appreciate the lotus. And for somebody like Prabhupada, when he sees a lotus, it reminds him Krishna. So inevitably that's the most beautiful thing we can have in this world. So Krishna has some lotus feet, very delicate feet, you know. When he walks barefoot in Vrindavan, his mother is very confused. She always wants Krishna to wear some shoes. You know, once he said to Krishna, you have to wear some shoes. You can't go in the forest like this. And Krishna said, okay, on one condition, then you have to give some shoes to all my cows also. Because I cannot wear some shoes and they have to go barefoot. We are equal. You know the Gopa? This is a mentality. Gopa means he's equal with his cows. Krishna doesn't think he's bigger than his cows. Nowadays, farmers, they think they're bigger than their animals, but the real cowards, they don't think they are bigger than their animals. They think they are equal. So Krishna sees his cows as equals. So he cannot accept shoes if they don't have shoes. And Mother Yasoda said, okay, you can go barefoot. Because it's a little bit complicated. You know, Nanda Maharaj has 900,000 cows. So it would be difficult to supply. And also how to fix shoes on cows, that's a problem. So Krishna is very intelligent and he always has the last word, you know, for everything. But that's fine. We are happy with that because then we can see Krishna's lotus feet. And I think the land of Vrindavan is also very happy that Krishna doesn't wear shoes, because then she can relate with Krishna. Our acharyas, they explain that actually when Krishna walks on the floor, he communicates with Bhumi. There is a language, you know, the way he steps, there is some exchange between his souls and Bhumi Devi. This is her relationship with Krishna, because she doesn't do much except to carry him always. But Krishna is not impersonal. That means every steps he's doing, he's also speaking to her through her steps. There is an exchange. And she answers and he answers back. Because that's Krishna, he can communicate to everybody, you know. By the way he moves, he communicates to everybody who sees him also. So Krishna is very artistic personality. That's why he's called Govinda. Radha Govinda. Govinda means he who drawn the senses of everyone into an unlimited ocean of bliss. This is Govinda. When you see him, you feel you're drowning in an ocean of bliss. and you don't know how to reach the shore of that ocean. You feel you're lost in the middle of an ocean of bliss. This is called Govinda. On the five senses, he's having that impact. And normally we think about the sight, no? Krishna is very beautiful. And only by seeing Krishna, everybody becomes mesmerized. They can even become stunned, petrified. Tears will flow from their eyes. We see, when I grew up, well, I should not say this, but when the devotee, they see Krishna, it's a very intense realization. But Krishna is not unlimitedly beautiful only by his form, but also by his fragrance. So the fragrance of Krishna is as beautiful as his form. So Krishna's fragrance is like lotus, musk, and aguru. We cannot describe very much because first we are not very familiar with the smell of the lotus. You know what is the smell of the lotus? Not much, huh? I remember, Acharya Nishta, he told me when he was a kid, he was raised in Singapore. So he had some lotuses in his garden, and he reminds from his childhood the fragrance of the lotuses. I told him, you are a very fortunate person, because in my childhood, there were no lotuses at all. But somehow or other, Krishna made him take birth in some places where there were some lotuses. And Krishna's, the sound of his voice is also unlimitedly beautiful. So Krishna captivates the sight, the smell, the ears, by the sound of his voice, as well as any other sound that Krishna can make, like the tinkling of his ankle bells. It is said that when Krishna walks, his ankle bells, they make some sound. And this is like the cooing of a swan. We're not very familiar also with the cooing of the swan, no? Most of the time when we see swan, they don't chant much. Have you ever seen a swan chanting? We are very unfortunate, We don't have all this. The Bhāgavatam is giving us so much beautiful details, but we don't know what they mean. Still, we can feel it's beautiful. And then there is Krishna's touch, the touch of Krishna's body. Lord Chaitanya said to Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar that the touch of Krishna's body is like touching touchstone. We're also not very familiar with touchstone because Krishna cannot be compared with some ordinary things of our world. So Shukadev Goswami and the Acharya, they try to help us to understand. And then there is the taste of Krishna. So that means inside his mouth, Krishna has a special taste also. This is also very mysterious for us. But when he eats some food, that taste is transmitted to the food. And so then the food gets a very special flavor. Very, very special flavor. This we can experience through the prasadam. But still, in order to really experience the flavor of Krishna's lips in the prasadam, we need to be quite advanced spiritually. It's not that easy. Normally we feel the superficial taste of the prasadam. But this is why Krishna is called Govinda, because he attracts, not only attracts, but it's not blowing. It not only attracts, but draws all our senses in an unlimited ocean of bliss. That's why he is called Govinda. So Prabhupada installed Radha Govinda for New York because he wanted to drown New York City in an ocean of bliss. Ocean is already there in New York, but that's a salty ocean, and it's not a bliss ocean. So Prabhupada brought another ocean of bliss, and he installed Radha Govinda. So, as Krishna has some lotus feet, Radhani also she has some lotus feet, as beautiful as Krishna's lotus feet, or some would say more beautiful than Krishna's lotus feet. Because actually, Govinda also means he who is mesmerized by the beauty of Radha, he who all senses are captivated and drawn in an ocean of bliss by Radha. That's the other meaning of Govinda. That he is enchanted by the form, fragrance, touch, taste, and sound of Radharani's Swarup. That's we could say, another hidden meaning of Govinda. But Prabhupada knows everything, he knows all this. Prabhupada is a very Rasika Vaishnava. So he installed Radha Govinda. That's 4 lotus feet in New York. 4 lotus feet. And these lotus feet, they have a special capacities that they spread. Like a lotus fragrance spreads. Flowers fragrance spreads, around. So Radha Govinda, when they came, they not only came and stayed in that small house in Henry Street, but then the beauty and fragrance and sweetness of their lotus feet started to spread. And by spreading, it transformed that city into another reality, which we called the Dham, Goloka, because Krishna cannot touch the material energy. So if Krishna appears, that means Goloka has to appear also in order to prevent him touching the material energy. So the Dham always appears before Krishna. That means when Prabhupada decided he will bring Radha Govinda here, then Vraj has to manifest. And then Radha Govinda can appear. Maybe with our unfortunate eyes we cannot see Vraj, but it is there. Since that day, New York manifested another underlying invisible identity. It became a manifestation of the transcendental world. And it's there. It's up to us to perceive it. Like the Holy Name is there. It's up to us to perceive it. Its transcendental nature. So Prabhupada turned New York, a very dark city of the Kali Yuga, into Vraj, the topmost place that exists forever. And as I said, that's also Prabhupada came. Actually, the first time Radha Govinda came to New York was 1965. Because Prabhupada always carries Radha and Krishna in his heart. And as the Bhāgavatam said, Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani. Because the Vaishnav carries always Krishna in his heart, then wherever he steps, that also becomes a holy place. So Krishna, Radha and Govinda, they appeared first in New York inside Prabhupada's heart. When the Jaladuta boarded, we say boarded for a boat? No? Docked. When the Jaladuta docked, that was, I think, 17th pier. I think, if I remember properly. That pier is still there. Now there is some kind of Home Depot or something like that there. But it's still there. That's when Prabhupada touched, he came down from the Jaladuta, which beautifully means the messenger from the water. And then he stepped down, then when he placed his feet on New York, Prabhupada's feet are already lotus feet, and he's carrying Radha and Govinda in his heart. So everything started at that moment. And then later he decided that he wants also to let us see Radha and Govinda. So he manifested Radha Govinda so that we can start seeing them. And by looking at Radha and Govinda, our senses, they become transformed. And we can feel some sweetness that we have never felt before. No? Isn't it? When you look at Radha Govinda, because they are very, very sweet. They are very sweet deities, Radha and Govinda. When you look at them, your heart melts. You feel that something is just melting you. So that's the mercy Prabhupada came to give us. He came to drown us into an ocean of bliss. And we are very, very indebted toward him for this. It's very important to feel indebted in life, or to recognize how much we owe to someone. Now there is no more suffering. There is no more this happiness and distress. Because we have Radha Govinda. There is only pure happiness. The distress has been swept away, no? Long ago. It's finished now. For those who can see Radha Govinda. And Prabhupada also gave us their name, which are even sweeter than their form, if we can say so. In the transcendental reality, we have the right to compare and say, this is better than this. Because we don't mean that we're belittling the other thing. We just do this in order to increase the appreciation. We could say the reverse also. Radha and Krishna's form are more beautiful than their names. It works in both senses. It's just a way of saying more and more, because the spiritual reality works like this. It's more and more at every moment. So we have to express this more and more. Since we started speaking, Radha and Govinda, they're more beautiful than half a hour ago. Of course, they are more and more beautiful. Now we have to perceive that. We need to perceive it. Then our life will become successful. We are stepping on the dam. We are looking at Radha and Krishna. So we are very, very close to perfection. Extremely close. It's like how much space there is between my two fingers there. There is some space. Because according to science, they never really touch. They say it's electrons, they repulse each other like this. I think they touch, but they don't touch. There is some space there. And that space, we are that close we are from perfection. because we can see the lotus feet of the lotus feet of Radharani is a little bit rarer, we can say, rarer. On Radhastami you show her feet, no? Here? Some temple they do something.
Yeah, technically it's illegal, but I think every year they end up doing it.
It's illegal technically?
Technically.
Oh yeah? So you have to become pujari. And then you can see every day. If you're pujari, you can see every day Radharani's feet. I remember when I was in Montreal, there is Radha Manohar. They are also very beautiful. And every morning I was on the altar. But when the pujari would undress Radha Manohar, I would be very much attracted by the feet of Radharani. They were so beautiful, so I had always to turn my head like this to look. Because it's very beautiful. You know, when something is very beautiful, you cannot stop looking at it. So I was disturbed in my puja because I had to worship Gauranitai, Prabhupada, and Bhaktisiddhanta, but every moment and then my mind would just tell me, just look one more time. It was too beautiful, and every time I look, I would feel so much mercy and so much love, you know. Radharani's form is a form of love, Mahabhava Swarupini, so it's a very special feeling. So I remember this time, now I cannot see every day her feet, but maybe let's see on Radhastami what will happen. You don't remember last time they did it? They did it. In New Vrajadam, Hungary, we do it very nicely. Radharani's feet, they have full darshan all day long. It's a very nice day. And Prabhupada also has lotus feet, like them. Because also Prabhupada, he also has a transcendental form, as beautiful as Krishna's form and as beautiful as Radharani's form. And he is also, by his presence, also manifesting the Dham, wherever he walks. And I am deeply convinced that Prabhupada manifested everything from Vrindavan in downtown New York. That's my personal feeling, but it's easy to argue and to prove it according to the Bhāgavatam, because that's what is explained. So I thank you very much, because I'm happy to be there at the lotus feet of Radha Govinda. And it's written here, I have to end the class by 8:50. So I'm done. And I invite you, if you have some questions or not. Or the mic for the questions.
Haribol.
Oh, it's interesting because I remember in 2016, we came here one morning. You were here with Mahotsaha and Gopal Champu. We came here. That was Radhastami's morning. Radhastami's morning. At that time, we were living in MacDougall Street. And on Radhastami, Mahotsaha said, let's go to Radha Govinda temple, because we wouldn't come, you know, in the morning. He said, today is Radhastami, let's go there. And we were just, at that time it was really empty, the temple here. We were just 4 or 5 of us here. So we did the morning lecture and kirtan like this. So yes?
So Hamsarupa Prabhu has just wrote on the chat earlier saying that Shri Radha Govinda were installed in 1972. So just
Oh, good.
a comment.
1972.
Someone made a comment saying, Hare Krishna, obeisances, as Shakshi Gopal, the witness Gopal, the only way the young Brahmana was allowed to know the Lord was keeping pace behind him. by the sweet tinkling of his ankle bells. So that was a comment that someone made.
True.
I guess I'd add a comment. You were saying how if anyone looks at Shri Shri Radha Govinda, it's like you just have this, like your heart melts.
Yes.
And there's actually, when my parents came to New York for the first time, and they finally came up close to see the deities, my mom just started crying.
You see?
And she didn't understand why, you know. So just a fun
It's
story
an
to share.
upsurge of her soul.
Yeah.
She doesn't know, but I mean, she's a fortunate person. My mother didn't cry when she saw the deities, but your mother is more fortunate than mine. It happens also, I have been told by the devotees of New Vrajadam in Hungary. You know, they have visitors every day coming, and it's every day people are crying when they see the deities. People who don't know nothing about Krishna consciousness, but they say, "Oh, it's so beautiful, and they start to cry. They don't know why. So that's a proof, very tangible proof, that their lotus feet has a very special impact on everybody. So we should allow people to come and see them, even though they may not be very interested by seeing deities. You know, deities in nowadays, people don't understand, except Indians who have a very good background for this. They understand deities. But outside of India, people, they don't understand much deities. But Prabhupada said, I brought deity worship in the land of the non-believers. And he was very happy of that. That's his transcendental happiness.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the class. A question that was just coming to me now, actually, while you were talking about that, how more people should come and have darshan of Radha Govinda. I was just thinking how in Nectar Devotion there's an interesting passage. In the offenses, it says one of the offenses is to worship the deity in front of non-devotees. And to worship the deity in front of people who are not devotees.
Yeah.
So, how is it that is an offense when we're practicing that pretty regularly here?
Oh, that means morning worship, when you're bathing them, massaging their body, padyam, argyam. This is sadhu sachara upa. We worship them with 16 items. That's curtain closed always. And only Brahmins can see that. We don't worship the deities with open curtain. Except in one place in Jagannath Puri, I've seen the puja. He just dressed that's in the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And the puja, he just dressed Krishna like this with open curtain. And I stayed there, I could see the entire puja. He did it like that. But normally we don't do. I don't know if he does this every day, or if he did that only on that day. I don't know. So this is for this context. The morning puja is closed. Because deities, they need to have some intimacy also. I remember I went to Kamyavan in 2000. That was January 2000, a long time ago now. And I went to a temple of some other sampradaya. I don't remember their name. But I would say Nimbarika Sampradaya. And they had in their temple, they had a very special context. The doors of the darshan, they were always closed. Only they open for arati and then they close very quickly. Because they consider Radha and Krishna, they need their intimacy. They have their pastime, they have their world, and we're not qualified for that. So only for arti they open quickly, they do the arti, and then they close. And it's all day long it's closed. So you have to be really at the proper time in order to see them. It was interesting. But they are also merciful. Vijayanath Chakravarti Thakur said this is the ultimate quality of Krishna. In Madhurya Kadambini, he explained the ultimate quality of Krishna is mercy, unlimited mercy. So Krishna likes to manifest that quality. So when he can give darshan, he is very happy. But we're bringing the holy name to the people. We're bringing the Bhāgavatam form of Krishna to the people so they can be touched by the same mercy. And actually it's through their holy name that we realize their beauty. Because by chanting the name of Radha and Krishna, then these names enter into our ears and then into our heart, which is a little bit more difficult, but we have to make the holy name enter into our heart. The ears are not enough. We have to learn the art, how to bring that sound into the core of our heart. So then it will enact its magic in the core of our heart also. And then we can perceive the beauty of the deities and the beauty of the divine couple. Yes?
One more question. Actually, something I've been thinking about recently. What is the most pleasing thing we can do for the deities? Is it to bring other conditioned souls to the deities? Is that the most pleasing thing to the deities? I was wondering.
The most pleasing thing you can do to the deities, well, I would require a long time to explain this. But your suggestion is good, yes. The deity is a form of mercy of Krishna. Because the deity is Krishna appearing in this material world, so it's a form of mercy. Why Krishna appears in the form of a deity? Just out of mercy. Because he wants to enable conditioned soul to see him. So that's the main reason of Krishna's appearing as a deity. We could say secondary reason, because the main reason is that his devotee is calling him. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva Dharma explained that the deity comes in this world through the heart of a devotee. Actually, it happens like this. The deity explained to his devotee who is in this world that he wants to appear, and then the devotee has to make it happen. It's not Prabhupada who decided, I will establish Radha Govinda. It's Radha Govinda who tell to Prabhupada, we want to come in this city, please install our form. And then Prabhupada does it. According to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jaiva Dharma, he's explaining this is how the deity appears. It comes down through the devotee. So the devotee has to be here, who is able to perceive the request of Radha and Krishna. So if we consider that they appear for the conditioned soul, it's proper to say that the most pleasing thing we can offer to them are persons. Yes. Those people we bring to their lotus feet are like flowers we offer to them. And they are very pleased. They are very pleased, yes. It would depend also on who is offering. Because, if it depends on the love. Krishna appreciates the offering also depending on the love. So it depends also a lot on with the level of love with which we offer Krishna something, how much he appreciates it. But in the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says that whoever explains this philosophy to his devotees is most dear to me. So we know how dear it is to Radha and Govinda to bring people to their lotus feet. There is no ambiguity about this. When you bring somebody to see Radha and Krishna, you 100% sure they are pleased with you and they are pleased to see them. So it's a win-win. Everybody wins, and that person wins his life, because that's everything changes, you know. Even if that person doesn't become a devotee, still everything changed for the person. But if we want to go deep in the subject, the deities, what is more pleasing to them? Well, Indra would say kirtan, because that's also true. You know, what's most pleasing, the item that's most pleasing to the deity is the kirtan. But then the kirtan has to be pure kirtan. Pure kirtan is very pleasing to the deities. So it depends a lot on the purity. And if somebody is a realized soul, if he's offering a flower to the deity, that's also maybe more pleasing than my kirtan. You understand? So it depends a lot on a lot of things. I would say there is not a definite answer to your question. There is it's an open reality that unfolds. We can answer in many beautiful ways. We cannot say this is better than everything else and everything else is lower. But the consideration that bringing people to them is inevitably extremely pleasing to them, because that's why they came. It's fulfilling their purpose. And you being there is as pleasing to them as you're bringing people. So when you're coming to see them, also that they can see you, never forget they are as pleased to see you as they are pleased to see another person. We should never forget how much Radha and Krishna, they love us. It's very, very important. They are not far from us. They are not distant, you know. They love us like no one else loves us. So they are the closest person we have in our life. They are the more loving person we have. That actually there is nobody in this world who is closer to us than Radha and Govinda. But sometimes we make them distant. Well, this is the deity, you know, and there is some reverence, and it's true, it's there also in order to remind us and to teach us, but the other aspect is also there, and it's more important than that they are the closest person we have in our life, and they are happy when we come close to them. We can come closer and closer to Radha Govinda every day through our chanting, through our prayers, through our looking at them. Here it's quite nice because we can come quite close to the deities, which is not like this everywhere. And when you are pujari, you can come and touch the deity, clean the body of the deity, massage the deity, bathe the deity. Is also a very beautiful experience. But never forget how much they love us and how close they are to us. And they want us to become closer and closer to them. They are not offended if we want to go closer to them. They're waiting for that. They want us to come closer. We should not fear. There is no fear in Vraj. There is some fear maybe in Vaikuntha, something like that. But Prabhupada brought Vraj, where there is no fear. There is no distance between us and Radha and Krishna in Vraj. There is very close relationship, you know. They can touch Krishna, there is no barrier. It doesn't exist. That's what Krishna likes. That's what he wants. So the same thing, I'm going deeper into your question. You know, you bring people that's pleasing very much to the deity, but the deity also would be very much pleased if we could bring ourselves a little bit closer to them. That's also extremely pleasing to them, because they didn't come just to give a far darshan to the people. They came to brought us extremely close to them. Because in the transcendental world, we may have the chance to touch them. And then it's even more than this. It's a heart-to-heart relationship we have with them. Prabhupada always say we have to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna. What means relationship? Relationship means it's a heart-to-heart exchange. If I have a relationship with somebody, that means I know that person's heart. Otherwise, what kind of relationship do I have with that person? Some superficial relationship. But we can call really a relationship when you start to understand the heart of this person, and when this person knows your heart. So with Krishna, it's one sense is already done because he knows our heart. But we need to know his heart also. We can see Radha and Govinda's form, but we want to know Radha and Govinda's heart also, because we have to come very close to their heart. That will be very pleasing to them, very, very pleasing to them. And when you can call them with genuine love, as soon as you call them, they'll come, they'll be there. In your chanting, they will appear in their divine form, Radha and Krishna, because they want this. You know, Prabhupada said Krishna wants much more than us to bring us back to him. He's waiting. The intensity of his expectation is unlimitedly more deeper than our expectation. Krishna is waiting for the day he can appear to us when we will be chanting. But he cannot do from the very beginning, because he needs to grow love. Krishna is an expert in love, and he knows how love works. And love works by not responding to it immediately. You have to let it grow. That's what Krishna does. But you have to let it grow. That means Krishna lets our love grow while waiting. I could say he can't wait for the day when he will be able to appear in front of us. He's waiting like anything. That's Krishna. They want to be with us 24 hours a day. They want that we will be able to carry them in our heart. That's what Prabhupada said. You know, the duty of the spiritual master is to enable his disciple to realize Radha and Krishna in his heart, and to carry them in his heart always. Heart, excuse me for my French accent. I don't realize it, and it's a long time I have not been in America, so my French accent became even more and more French because I was speaking French. So they're waiting for our genuine chanting, because actually the way they will come in our heart is by our chanting. This is the sound form of Radha and Krishna, this holy name. It's a very magical thing. There is nothing more magical in this world than the holy name of Radha and Krishna. And we may not perceive that magic, but it's there. Nothing. You know, you see all these guys on TV and on show, they make so many magic, and you say, wow, come on, how can they do this? It's mind-blowing, no? He puts the lady inside, he cut the box, and he opened the box. It's mind-blowing, but this is nothing to compared to the magic of the holy name. But the magic of the holy name is very difficult to perceive in the beginning. Then we will start to enter into the magic of the holy name. And when we start to enter into the magic of the holy name, then that's another thing. Because then when we're chanting, the holy name reveals the transcendental reality. And when we start to be able to see, to perceive, to feel something new, then we understand, wow, that's really magical. Prabhupada was true. He told us, in the beginning, you're trying like a blind man, to figure it out, what is this sound, what is this name. But by the mercy of Prabhupada, after the holy name reveals itself, or himself, or themselves. Because we say always the name of Krishna, but it's as much the name of Radha as the name of Krishna, isn't it? If we calculate, it's even more the name of Radharani, because we start with her name, And actually, as Prabhupada told us, we're speaking to Radharani when we're chanting, and it's a call. The Hare form is the vocative form for Hara, which means Radha. So we are speaking to them. Chanting means we are calling them. And Krishna can come at any time. He doesn't have to take the plane. He doesn't have to wait. Krishna can appear at any moment. We need to have this faith that when I chant, Radha and Krishna, they can appear right now. It's just depending on me, if I'm really calling them or not. So we have to learn how to call them. So Prabhupada gave us these books in order to teach how to call them. Okay? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.